just want to say I'm really happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here and to meet your students. A beautiful campus.
Thank you very much, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
It's my pleasure.
And sharing your work. So maybe you would like to say a bit about what you shared with us earlier this morning, your work with oral history and videos.
Well, I think that oral history is an important topic, and I think that it's the same in the United States. Our students are interested in it. So today I was happy to speak to the methods class, and in the United States we teach methods as well in oral history. So today I showed my video that my students made over a 2-year project with indigenous people in Virginia. And our audience was the tribes themselves as well as the general public. So we talked a little, I showed the video, but we didn't really have time to talk about the mechanics of it. There's a lot of technical mechanics, a lot of research before you go to the community. And sometimes that part is not thought about. You have to do a lot of work before you begin the camera work.
And I think what people were also very interested about is the impact of your work among the community. And so maybe you would like to share something.
Well, I think seeing themselves in the tape, members of the community had a positive reaction, maybe made them more comfortable in speaking out in the years since this was made. So I think there has been a positive impact, and lots of follow-up work and other projects that we worked on from William and Mary from my college.
Yeah, because from my experience, most American anthropologists don't do research in the United States, and most of us who come from abroad are expected to do fieldwork back in our home country. So there are not many people doing ethnography in the United States.
And this is an interesting point,
Yeah,
that you
I was
bring
very
it up.
curious about it. So I don't know how, because I have a couple of friends who have been trying to Americans to do fieldwork in America, but it's hard to get funding, and
It's very hard to get funding. I think this is an interesting question. And in the talk today, in the PowerPoint, I put up the slide of Franz Boas and his students. The start of American anthropology, a lot of that original work was in American Indian communities because they were in our backyard, they were around us. And I think anthropology in some ways has moved beyond. We were in an era of interest in globalization, interest in contemporary projects, and some of American Indian work has moved into the sphere of ethnohistory, combination of history and anthropology, as well as new Indian history, where we like to have indigenous people define their own history and categories. In some ways, anthropologists then have pulled back from working with American Indians, or there are more programs that are established.
And I'm also curious because the field of memory studies, to call it, it's very important right now in Colombia, but it's mostly related to the political strife, and it has to do a little with recovering the victims' testimonies. And I would like to know if in America, what other fields or related to which other issues we find memory studies? It's only mostly Native American communities, or do you see it going somewhere else?
Oh, I think it's broader than that. Certainly the African American community, memory study or oral history is very important there. In any of the ethnic communities, and again, as I talked today, around sites and with continuity of communities as well. So I think it's not confined to American Indians at all. There may be memory studies of returning veterans. I think it's wide open, but the concepts and the approaches, the methodologies, I think are similar.
I don't know if you,
I have a question.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
interested in your Constitution of 1991 and the way in which your Constitution deals with indigenous people here. Can you tell me just a little about that?
okay, it's a very complex issue.
Sure.
I think it was very well intended, but somehow the results haven't been what was expected. So basically what happened is that the Constitution recognizes that the country is a multicultural country, a
Yes.
multi-ethnic.
Yes.
So that recognizes rights to some people on the basis of their ethnical affiliation. And that has been really good, because some people have land recognized, reservations.
Like a reservation.
Yeah. And political representation in the government. There are some spots, I don't know exactly, for indigenous peoples as well as for African Colombian. But then this has also led to some kind of like ethnical stripes, because some people are starting to become somehow Indian, to recognize themselves as indigenous because of the crops that come.
This is a common complaint in the United States. This revolves around identity politics and what does one have to prove to be indigenous, as well as the question, do we give special rights to special groups, or is everyone equal? So these are the issues that we want, all societies have to address as they go.
Well, no, I guess it's not, of course, only here in Colombia. It's not particular to us, but there's complex discussions around law, and who gets to punish or to deal with crimes committed by people from these communities. And so the Supreme Court has had to, in some cases, but it's not clear cut. It's very hard to sometimes reconcile the two, because people, non-indigenous people will say, oh, that's too lenient.
Yeah, when does tribal court have tribal justice have jurisdiction?
Yeah.
And who is it over? Is it just
And when
tribal?
when is it fair?
Yeah.
Because you have jurisdiction, we acknowledge that. But then the punishment doesn't seem to be enough.
But these are cultural questions, right?
Yeah.
These kinds of questions exist in the United States, particularly in the 19th century, when violence on reservation, suppose it's Indian on Indian, or was it Indian on non-Indian, and who has jurisdiction? We have Supreme Court case law about this.
And another effect is also like what you showed in your presentation earlier, is infighting.
Yeah,
You know,
it increases factionalism.
yeah, because some groups are much more established and
Yes.
much more recognized, and then other people, because that means also getting funds
That's
from the
right.
state, and so
It's as you said, the goals of recognition in a way have created some unintended consequences
Yeah.
of increasing infighting in indigenous communities. But of course, this is ultimately a result of colonization.
yeah, of course, it's the long-term results of this, and it's very much present.
It's
We've been an independent country for 200 years, but that doesn't mean that that past is over. Far
No,
from that.
no.
Yeah, I guess, as I told you, I think it was a well-intended
Measures.
spirit, but then, And then also some people complain about how you have to consult with them everything.
Yeah,
So
yes,
you
the
want
same.
to build a road and it goes
Consultation.
through their territory, so you have to consult.
We call this civic engagement, the same.
And so people say that that just stops development, and that the good, what comes first.
The argument of
few-
progress versus traditions.
And also the minorities becoming majorities. So this road will benefit most of the country, and that little territory only benefits this little. So how?
Well, I think what is wonderful for me to come to Colombia and to see that some of the issues are the same, and that often maybe we don't think about common issues between Colombia and people in the United States, but there are many.
Yeah, and also I think that it's a little said that anthropology has forgotten about comparative studies.
So we have our discipline as a task.
Yeah, sure.
I'm happy to be with you today. And it's nice to be here in Manchester.
That you are and share
Thank
your
you.
work.
Mucho
Thank you very much.
gusto.
Okay.